Supporter, hold tight, because today's news is one of those that nobody wanted to hear. Newcastle had just lost a €60 million signing, and he could be out for up to 5 weeks. This changes everything. Premier League, Champions League, even the Carabao Cup. What does this mean for us? Let's talk it through in detail. I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a supporter for supporters who live and breathe Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle was suddenly in the headlines everywhere. And today, the subject couldn't be anything else. The injury to Yoane Wissa, our brand new striker, signed as a proven goal scorer and already a cause for concern. Let's break this story down together. But first, just a quick word. If you love Newcastle and want to follow everything happening with our club, hit that subscribe button right now. It costs nothing. It helps massively, and it makes all the difference for the growth of our black and white community. That's right, supporter, Yoane Wissa, brought in for nearly €60 million, will be sidelined for up to 5 weeks. A tough blow right at the start of his Newcastle journey. And to make it worse, he was already beginning to make an impact with his national team. It all happened on the 9th, when Yoane Wissa was representing the Democratic Republic of Congo in a decisive World Cup qualifier against Senegal. The game was electric from start to finish, ending 3-2 for the Senegalese, but anyone watching saw that Wissa made his presence felt. He was one of the standouts, showing the same fighting quality that convinced Newcastle to sign him. In the first half, the striker shone, getting on the scoresheet and lifting the hopes of Congolese fans. That's exactly the kind of performance Newcastle supporters were desperate to see in black and white, a striker who doesn't hide in big games, who steps up when it matters most. But sadly, the joy didn't last. In the second half, Wissa felt sharp pain in his knee after a challenge. He was substituted immediately, raising big concerns for both his country and Newcastle. The atmosphere grew tense because, at first, many feared the worst, a serious injury that could rule him out for months. Things got even heavier when cameras caught him limping off, and social media exploded with messages of worry and support. After all, we're talking about a €60 million signing, brought in to be a key player this season. Then came the relief. Medical tests later confirmed that, although the scare was real, it wasn't as serious as first thought. Still, the news was far from sweet. Wissa will need 4 to 5 weeks to recover fully. That means missing crucial Newcastle fixtures, including Premier League clashes, Champions League ties, and even a Carabao Cup match. So it was a roller coaster of emotions, the joy of a goal and a strong performance, the despair of injury, and finally the relief that it's not devastating, but still a major absence at such a critical time of the season. The English press wasted no time. Sky Sports were the first to bring details, confirming Wissa would miss not only tough Premier League matches but also decisive Champions League games, including that clash with Barcelona, already circled as one of the big nights of the season at St. James Park. Outlets like the Daily Mail and Chronicle Live also reported it, highlighting the immediate impact of losing a player signed for nearly €60 million. On social media, the reaction was instant. Wissa's name quickly started trending among Newcastle fans, who split into 2 camps. On one side, the Warriors, gutted that such an expensive signing was already sidelined before his Newcastle story had truly begun. Many pointed out that this was exactly the kind of bad luck the club couldn't afford at the start of such a demanding season, with so many decisive matches ahead. On the other side, a portion of supporters tried to keep optimistic, pointing out that at least it wasn't a months-long injury. It could have been much worse, some wrote, recalling recent cases where players lost almost a whole season with knee problems. That half-full glass view showed there's still confidence Wissa will come back strong and prove his worth. But even with hope, frustration was clear. Nobody wanted such a highly anticipated signing to begin his Newcastle chapter with weeks in the stands. Comments like, "Our luck never changes," and "This injury curse never ends" flooded the posts. Supporters remembered how Newcastle had been plagued by injuries over the past few years, and seeing another big player sidelined so early only brought back that sense of déjà vu. In the end, the reaction showed a fan base that, while still confident in the team and the squad, feels the weight of losing a player of Wissa's caliber right before massive games. And the press only hammered that home. The absence of a signing worth €60 million is, without doubt, a huge setback for Newcastle's ambitions this season. Behind the scenes, the feeling is pure déjà vu, and it's not by chance. Newcastle have been living through a nightmare when it comes to injuries in recent seasons. Just think back to the countless games where Eddie Howe had to improvise, putting together lineups without key players in decisive moments. That history had already left the board on red alert, and it was one of the main reasons they invested heavily in bringing in Yoane Wissa. Wissa's arrival wasn't just a gamble, it was a clear strategy to add depth to the squad, to take some of the physical load off Isaac, and most importantly, to guarantee goals in the big games. And numbers don't lie. Last season, Wissa scored 20 goals in 38 matches, 19 of them in the Premier League. That made him the 6th top scorer in the league, ahead of some big names, proving he had everything it takes to become one of Newcastle's deadliest weapons. Inside the club, expectations were sky high. The plan was to build a proper attacking trio with Isaac, Wissa, and Woltemade, combining different styles to bring unpredictability up front. Wissa's pace and power, Isaac's finishing and smart movement, and Woltemade's youth and hunger. The goal? To compete at the very top in every competition. The Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup. But now, that plan has to be adjusted. With Wissa out for at least 5 weeks, Howe loses not only a goal scorer, but also a player who could give Isaac much-needed rest and prevent burnout in a brutal calendar. This changes the whole squad rotation, forcing the manager to get creative, giving more minutes to Woltemade, testing William Ojala, or even adapting players from other positions to help in attack. Behind the scenes, there's a sense of frustration because this was a kind of problem the club thought they were already prepared for, yet here it is again, knocking at the door. It feels like there's a shadow hanging over Newcastle when it comes to injuries. The difference now is that the squad is stronger, and the hope is that this team can hold the line until Wissa is back. Eddie Howe already knows he'll have to be creative. Without Wissa, the responsibility falls even more on Nick Woltemade, who started brightly by scoring the winner against Wolves. On top of that, William Ojala could get precious minutes, a golden chance to prove himself. But the big question is, do they have the legs and maturity to cope in massive games, like against Arsenal and especially against Barcelona in the Champions League? And if we look at other clubs, this isn't something new. It's not the first time a star signing arrives with big expectations and then gets injured straight away. Liverpool and Chelsea have both been through this in recent seasons. The difference is, those clubs had bigger squads to cover the gaps. Newcastle, even with a heavy investment, still don't have that luxury in every position. Every injury here hits much harder than it does at those giants. And remember, Wissa also misses a League Cup clash with Bradford City, which means, in practice, Newcastle will have to find quick solutions to keep the momentum across all competitions. A run of poor results now could cost dearly later on. And let's be honest, lads, Wissa's injury is a blow. But it's exactly in these moments that the true Newcastle spirit shines. We saw it against PSG, and we've seen it on so many magical nights at St. James Park. The black and white shirt is heavy, and the roar of the Toon Army can turn setbacks into fuel. If Wissa can't be out there, then it's up to us to believe in and push those who will replace him. Because at the end of the day, Newcastle have never been about one single player. It's always been about unity, on the pitch and in the stands. So, what about you, mate? How did you take this news? Do you think Newcastle will really feel Wissa's absence in these next games? Or do you believe Woltemade, Ojala, and the rest can step up and get the job done? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I really want to know what you think. And before you head off, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next videos. Leave a like because it helps the channel massively. And let's keep growing this amazing black and white community together. Thanks so much for sticking with me right to the end. This is Newcastle Mania, a channel made by a fan for the fans. Hoey the lads, the best is yet to come.